Hey, everybody. Welcome to Daniel Davis Deep Dive. A little unexpected here. You see me, I'm actually coming to you again live from Washington, D.C., this time downtown Washington, right out front of the CNN headquarters where I was supposed to have been on air right about this time. As it turns out, you probably have seen the news. The shooter from the Maine massacre was captured. They found his body, actually, and so that completely scrapped the entire show I was about to do, which was going to be on the Israeli-Hamas war, and so they're going to cover that. So, but while we're here, I didn't want you to miss out on some of this stuff because there has been some breaking news and some developments in the war that I want to make sure that you're all aware of. So first of all, this morning on Fox News, we had one of the senior Israeli Defense Forces spokesmen tell the Fox and Friends, I believe it was, what the criteria was for them to launch their ground invasion.
Our operation is dependent on two components. First of all, the government decision. The government needs to instruct us to mobilize. Indeed, we heard Prime Minister Netanyahu yesterday when he addressed the Israeli public, and he said he's working in order to gain that consensus in his government. And from our perspective, that is only one condition. The second condition, of course, would be the optimal operational conditions for the IDF. We're not in a rush. We realize this is a long battle ahead of us. And therefore, we're taking our time. Every day that goes by, we're more professional, better prepared, better equipped, and the specific tasks of the individual units are more clear in how they fit together in the broader picture, the broader puzzle of dismantling Hamas. So while there's ongoing debates and discussions on the diplomatic level, our role is to be prepared to move in when those two conditions are met.
Okay, that was this morning. Now, just hours after that was given, actually the war cabinet came out and said that all of the first part of that, the political part, had been cleared off. And now they had unanimous decision about what they were going to do. So then the situation moved to the military part. Now, apparently that was solved too, because just hours ago, another IDF spokesman said this.
I firmly believe, Katie, that when we defeat Hamas, and we surely will, we're not only doing Israel a favor and making our country safer and our people more secure, but ultimately we're doing a favor for the people of Gaza who deserve more than living under this theocratic extremist dictatorship. You can be sure that if you're in a Hamas bunker somewhere, if you're in a Hamas tunnel, if you're in a Hamas stronghold, that we're going to come and find you and we're going to eliminate that target. Hamas will pay for its crimes against humanity. Hamas will pay for slaughtering our people. And tonight, we are starting payback.
So you hear him. He point blank says, tonight we are starting payback. Now, there have been a number of activities that happened throughout the day that gave evidence that was coming anyway, because there was another incursion of Israeli armor through the Gaza Strip, the third time that's happened. The first two times, both of the units came back. This time, they stayed. So it looks like now that they're literally getting ready for the assault stage. And those are probably a support units, probably tanks and artillery pieces. We haven't gotten all the details of that yet, but that's what I would expect to then support as infantry come in later on. Additionally, the level of firepower and airstrikes and artillery strikes into the Gaza Strip were the highest that they have ever been. Trey Yingst of Fox News went on earlier tonight, late night in Israel time, and said that it was very somber. He said that was hands down the most intense bombardment he's seen since the war started. And that's saying something, because Trey Yingst has been very close to what's going on there. And then one of the last things is we also saw that Israel cut off all the communications, all the internet, all the cell phone signals, and that signals that probably what the IDF was doing was to completely, basically blind and make deaf the Hamas fighters, because if they don't have regular military communications, they don't have the high-tech radios and the security system. So all they have to rely on is like regular text messaging and cell phones. And those have now been cut off or mainly cut off, which means that the Hamas will not have the ability to warn their other fighters. If they see IDF soldiers coming in here, they can't warn them over there. They can't move, reinforcements out if there's a breakthrough. So that basically the IDF has blinded the Hamas fighters. So it's going to make their job a lot more difficult. All those things together make it look like that they are now ready to go in. And, man, who knows what we're going to find on the ground in the morning, and what these impact of all this is going to be. The biggest concern is the people of Hamas. The people of Palestine, because look, again, everybody gets that the Israeli Defense Force and the Israeli people need justice for the Hamas terrorists that slaughtered innocent Israeli civilians. Point blank, no asterisk, no caveats. But they have to be careful that they don't go too far. And look, there's already a lot of people in the Arab world who believe they have gone too far. And there's the casualty count for the civilians is just going through the roof. If then Israel comes in on the ground and that number spikes and goes even higher, it's uncertain if, all of these, Arab other terrorist organizations and Islamic fighters may join the fight against Israel. Maybe they will come in. They'll probably put more pressure on Hezbollah to come into the fight from the north. I bet that Hezbollah does not want to do this. They don't want to attack Israel because it's going to cost them. Because they've already fought one war with Israel in 2006, and that didn't go very well. It took Hezbollah years to recover from that. But if they get too much pressure from the Arab street and the supporters of Hamas, the supporters of the Palestinian people, they may be forced into action. And then the risk of escalation goes way up. And you probably saw from our earlier deep dive we had earlier today about the airstrikes that the U.S. launched into Syria yesterday and the potential for escalation that has. And listen, I just got to keep beating this drum here. America's vital national interest is in preventing this war from escalating beyond the Gaza Strip. And already signs are starting to increase that the risk of that keeps going higher. And especially if any Americans are killed in Iraq or Syria by subsequent attacks by these violent groups, there's going to be a strong demand among the American people and among members of Congress especially to strike back, not just at some buildings and warehouses like happened this time, but against Iran. Now, whether President Biden will do that, I don't know, but this is something that we need to watch very carefully, because no matter what's going on with Hamas in Israel, we must be careful that we don't make a terrible situation catastrophic, because the United States is not in a position to get sucked into a big major war in the Middle East. It doesn't. This is not about trying to be strong. This is not about, not wanting to appear weak before Iran or giving them what they need. This is about protecting the United States and keeping our ability to defend our interest fully capable. And right now, because we've given so much of our equipment, so much of our ammunition away to Ukraine, we've given now a lot to Israel, where President Biden's trying to give a lot more yet to Taiwan to increase even that. Folks, we can't afford all that stuff, okay? And then get into a war. This is something that the United States can't do. And it is a requirement for us to be wise in using our resources, not careless, and not thinking that we, like President Biden said in that 60 Minutes interview a couple of weeks ago, where when he was asked if we could do all of these things together, he said, well, yes, of course. We're the United States of America, the most powerful nation ever, implying that he thinks we can do everything all the time, no matter what, and we can't. So I hope that cooler heads are prevailing behind the scenes in the White House and in the Pentagon, and that we're doing everything we can and communicating behind the scenes to both Iran, to Hezbollah, to Israel, to everybody, that we're not going to get into a regional war. And so we need to be very, very careful about what reactions everybody takes as part of this. So I was going to say a lot of that on CNN earlier tonight, but didn't get that chance. Hopefully they'll have us back sometime next week. But in the meantime, we want to make sure you get all the information you need to make the right choices in life and to understand the truth of what's really going on. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next time on Deep Dive.